You are shivering in the dark. Your hands are numb. The meat in front of you is raw, and it is going to stay raw because there is no fire to change it, and there never will be. For nearly all of human history, this was not a hypothetical, it was the baseline. Every night was this night for millions of years until something changed everything. Right now, you eat cooked food without thinking twice about it. Toast, coffee, a pot of rice. You flip a switch and heat appears on command. But strip that one invention away, and the entire shape of your body, your brain, and your daily life collapses into something almost unrecognizable. So what if humans had never learned to control fire? To answer that, you have to go back to where fire actually starts. Not campfires around the circle of storytellers, something much older and much stranger. At Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, archaeologist Francesco Berna and his team found burned bone fragments and ash residue dated to roughly 1 million years ago, buried deep inside the cave where lightning could not have reached. That distance from the entrance matters. It means something was carrying fire inside, deliberately, and keeping it there. Not using fire, controlling it. Around the same period, at a site called Gesher Benot Yaakov in Israel, researcher Nama Goren Inbar uncovered clusters of burned flint and wood dated to nearly 790,000 years ago. Different continent, different population, same behavior repeating itself. This was not a one-time accident, it was a habit, spreading. Now picture it without that habit. No hearth, no spark, no warmth waiting for you at the end of a hunt gone wrong. Nightfall becomes the most dangerous part of every single day. Your body has almost no natural defense against cold once the sun disappears. No thick fur, no hibernation, just thin skin and a metabolism built for warm climates. Without fire, every winter is a slow filtering event, and only the toughest, luckiest bodies make it to spring. Predators become harder to keep away too. A flickering flame at the mouth of a cave was often the only thing standing between your ancestors and a hungry animal in the dark. Remove it, and the night stops belonging to you. But the real damage happens somewhere you would never expect, not around the fire, inside your gut. Primatologist Richard Wrangham built an entire body of research, now known as the cooking hypothesis, around one central idea. Cooking food outside the body does a huge amount of the digestive work that would otherwise have to happen inside it. Heat breaks down tough plant fibers. It denatures proteins in meat, unwinding them so they are easier to absorb. Cooked food hands your body far more usable calories for far less chewing and far less digestive effort than raw food ever could. That surplus of energy had to go somewhere. Wrangham's research points to the brain as the biggest beneficiary. The human brain burns through roughly 20% of your body's total energy at rest, an extraordinary cost for an organ that is only about 2% of your body weight. Without the extra calories that cooking freed up, evolution likely could not have afforded to build a brain that expensive. No surplus, no upgrade. So picture the version of you that grows up in that world, raw food only, hours spent every single day just chewing tough roots and stringy meat, because your body has to do all the mechanical breakdown itself. Less time for anything else. Fewer spare calories for a growing brain, a jaw and set of teeth built heavier and larger, closer to a chimpanzee's, because raw food demands serious grinding power to survive on. Would you even recognize yourself? Let's reconstruct a single day in that fireless world, because the abstract numbers only tell you so much. Dawn breaks cold. There was no fire to sleep beside, so you are already awake, already stiff, already scanning the tree line out of habit rather than choice. Breakfast, if you can call it that, is whatever was killed or gathered the day before. Raw, tough. You tear at it with your back teeth, working your jaw for what feels like an hour before your stomach even registers that you've eaten anything. Midday is spent foraging because raw calories are scarce and your body needs a constant trickle of them just to keep up with digestion. There's no surplus lying around waiting to be spent on curiosity or art or a longer, riskier hunt. Every choice gets filtered through one brutal question. What is the safest way to get enough calories before dark? And dark is the part that changes everything. No flickering light at the mouth of the cave, no warm circle to sit inside, just the growing cold and the growing risk, and a silence that a predator could walk straight through. You sleep in shifts if you sleep at all, because someone has to stay alert. There is no evening, there is only daytime and the long, watchful absence of it. That's the life fire erased, quietly and permanently. There is a counterintuitive twist buried in all of this. Fire is usually framed as a tool for warmth, for light, for keeping predators away. Useful, sure, but secondary. The real transformation was quieter and stranger. Fire became an external stomach. It moved the chunk of digestion outside your body and into the environment. And that single shift rewired almost everything that came after it, from the size of your gut to the size of your skull. Smaller guts need less energy to maintain. That spared energy, alongside the extra calories from cooked food, is part of what anthropologists believe helped fuel the growth of the brain over the following million years. Fire did not just keep your ancestors alive through the night, it restructured their biology from the inside out. And there is a social layer to this too. A fire that has to be tended does not just feed one body. It draws people into a shared circle at a predictable time every single day. Anthropologist Polly Wiesner studied modern hunter-gatherer communities and found that daytime conversation tends to focus on practical matters, logistics, complaints, coordination. But nighttime conversation around the fire shifts dramatically towards storytelling, social bonding, and shared myth. The fire did not just cook the meal. It may have created the very stage where human culture, language, and shared memory first took shape. Remove fire from that picture, and you likely remove a huge piece of what makes a culture cohere across generations. No fixed evening gathering point, no reliable stretch of safe, well-lit time for stories to be passed down. Knowledge stays fragmented, whispered in daylight fragments, harder to hold onto. There's one more piece worth sitting with. Fire also changed what a day could contain. Once darkness stopped being pure danger, it became something closer to spare time. A window after the hunting and the gathering were done, where nothing urgent demanded your attention. Anthropologists studying that shift argue it is one of the earliest forms of true leisure in the human story. And leisure, oddly enough, is where a lot of culture gets built. A tool gets improved during idle firelight, not during a frantic midday scramble for food. A story gets told and retold and slowly polished into myth. Without that protected evening window, none of it has anywhere to happen. Now, bring this back to your own day. Chances are you have already eaten something cooked within the last few hours, without giving it a second thought. That plate of pasta, that coffee, that toast you barely tasted on your way out the door. Every one of those small, forgettable moments is running on a piece of biological infrastructure that took hundreds of thousands of years to build. Your smaller jaw, your oversized, energy-hungry brain, even the simple fact that you can sit down for a shared meal with other people at a fixed time in a warm space instead of foraging alone in the cold. All of it traces back to a small, controlled flame that someone, somewhere, refused to let go out. Think about how much of your day is structured around that same idea, even now. Breakfast at a fixed hour, dinner as a shared event, not just a solo refueling stop. Central heating that keeps your home at a stable temperature no matter what the season is doing outside. You inherited the habit of controlling your environment instead of simply enduring it. And fire is where that habit started. Every thermostat, every stove, every porch light left on against the dark is a distant echo of that first flame carried into a cave in South Africa 1,000,000 years ago. You were never shivering in the dark by accident. You are warm right now because roughly 1,000,000 years ago, something changed, and it never changed back.